Hi there. In this episode, we'll be covering how to get your self-published book noticed. It's one thing to publish your book, but then what? How do you stand out? How do you set your book apart from every other book that's out there? How do you reach the people who need to read your book? And how do you do it without breaking the bank? I'm glad you found this video. The book publishing process is so complicated, confusing, cumbersome. I've spent the past 7 years writing and publishing books, and some of these tips are even things that I'm still learning. It's just so meaningful to be able to move forward with clarity when you publish your book and to be empowered in the book publishing process. By the end of this video, you will learn the importance of book distribution, how to optimize your book's information and metadata, and the massive importance of reviews. And stay tuned until the end of the video for an opportunity I really think you're going to enjoy. Let's dive in. Before we really dive into this episode, I just want to speak from the heart. I've worked with so many different authors, probably hundreds of authors at this point, and so many of them struggle with this very step. So many of them struggle to get this book to the masses, get this book into the right reader's hands, have a launch and aftermath that feels validating to them. You know, you put in all this hard work and effort, and you spent all this time and effort and money putting this book together. You want to see the results. You want to see the outcomes that you hope to have come true and become valid. You don't want to put it out there and just have it land with a thud and have it overlooked. You don't want this book to be forgotten or ignored or missed by the people that need to read it. So the tips in this video are really all about getting the right people to see your book. Now take a look. This is the Kindle Direct Publishing or KDP site on Amazon.com. This is one of the key places that you're going to be looking when publishing your book. KDP is the platform that you use when you publish something on Amazon. This is kind of the behind the scenes. And this is a book that a friend of mine authored and wrote, Jan Bidwell's Tactical Mindfulness. I just wanted to use that as an example of what this process looks like. This is where you really upload all of the files and documents and add everything in that you need to add for the book. I'm going to just pop into the Kindle version of the book just to show you what this looks like a little bit and some of the things that you really want to focus on. So this book's currently in pre-order, which is very exciting. Author, pretty straightforward, that would be your name. Description, book description, summarize your book. You want to be able to capture the heart and essence of your book in a short amount of time because you really want the reader to be connected to this, and you also want to use the right buzzwords that are going to draw people in. You know, for her book, the book description starts with achieve a steady inner state even in the rockiest of times. That's something that's going to draw people in, you know, and then you have, you know, different endorsements from the book from people that read it and really appreciate it, and just a little description. Doesn't need to be super long. I think a lot of times people get overwhelmed with jargon. People don't want to read jargon. They want a straightforward, simple explanation of what this book is about and how it's going to help them. And you really want to do it in just a short amount of time. I mean, you only have a couple thousand characters to work with in this section. So it's so meaningful to be able to get that right and really capture the essence of your book. Publishing rights, primary audience. A lot of these are straightforward. I'm not going to worry too much about them. Categories is massive. Categories is such a huge topic and such an overlooked topic. I actually know authors who will publish their books in categories that don't really reflect the book's themes or messages just because they want to be an Amazon bestseller or they want to be #1 for new releases in a certain category. But if your book isn't really in that category, no one's going to find the book in that category. You're going to be attracting the wrong audience. You want to attract the right audience, and you do that by having the right categories in play. Another area is keywords. Keywords are very important as well, and I've seen this process not properly done for books that I've worked on. These keywords, think about the things that people are searching for when they are trying to find your book. These specific terms and phrases, not just single words, but terms and phrases. Choose up to 7 keywords highlighting your book's unique traits. Keywords are typically short phrases up to 50 characters that customers use to narrow their book search on Amazon. Example is medieval fantasy books. Jan's book, some of the keywords are polyvagal toning mindfulness, steadiness and equipoise, meditation, walking and seated, daily tactical mindfulness practices. These are specific terms that people might be searching for, and you want them, when they search for those terms, to find your book. I want to go back to categories for a minute because I think that's such an overlooked thing. Think about the books that you want to share bookshelf space with your book. Think about books that are kind of like your book, similar to your book, overlap with your book. I actually will go through when I'm listing a book on Amazon or a different platform. I will actually go and see what categories other similar books are listed in, because that's the place I want to be with this book. You want to think about your book very strategically and think about how you can put your book next to those other books, be ranked in the same categories as them, because when people end up buying those other books, you want them to look at yours as well. This ties into advertising and some of the marketing you might do around the book. You want to be connected to the right books. You want to be on the right bookshelf. If you pick the wrong categories, you're going to do undue harm to your book. This is not about quick wins. This is about long-term success and growth and progress. When somebody searches for a specific thing on Amazon or another site, you want them to find your book. Something else I want you to think about is outside of Amazon. 55% of books are sold on Amazon, but what about that other 45%? Another thing that people really struggle with is people think once their book is on Amazon that it's going to get outside wider distribution, it's going to get listed in bookstores, it's going to list in libraries, it's going to show up in all these different places. And that's typically not the case unless you manually do it and call the bookstore and say, I'm a local author that has a really successful book. I would love to get my book in your store. You can do those things manually yourself, or you can work with an outside distributor, the most common of which is Ingram Spark. Ingram Spark is such a massively important element of the book landscape, and it's often overlooked because people just think of Amazon. But then they'll publish their book and think, why isn't nowhere else? Why can't I find it at the bookstore? Why is it not getting picked up by libraries? It's because there's no outside distribution. Now, Amazon does have some relationships with the libraries, specifically on the Kindle side for ebooks. And that's really something you want to navigate. If you want your book in different libraries, there's different options for you. Draft to digital is one option, but Ingram Spark is really where books get picked up outside of Amazon. When you think about Barnes & Noble and other big distributors, there's a reason why certain books, even self-published books, end up in bookstores and why others don't. And it's because of the fact that Ingram Spark is distributing the books outside of Amazon. So you want to be in both of these places typically. You want to be in Amazon and you want to be outside of Amazon. You want to think about how to get your book to the widest group of people, and typically working with Amazon to publish your book on Amazon first, or get your book set up in Amazon first, and then setting up for outside distribution through Ingram Spark is the best way to go. Another thing to keep in mind is that your book's success ultimately comes down to you. You are the biggest driver, the biggest promoter, the biggest spokesperson. You are the person that is carrying this book more than anything else. And it's such an honor and a privilege to be able to do that. I've loved and appreciated, and I've both loved and hated this process of promoting your book, because I think there's a scary element to it. There's a frustrating element to it. There's, you're always chasing this thing. You're chasing book sales. You're chasing visibility. You're chasing opportunities. What's the frequency that you want to post on social media? How do you use your channels to promote your book? That's why I think it's so important to have a great social media strategy and really think through what you want to do with your platform and how you can use your platform to your book's success. Do you have an email distribution list that you can send updates to? Do you have a Substack or a LinkedIn page that you can post to and let people know about updates with the book, maybe interviews you've done, or other things, getting the word out? There's so many different ways that you can use your existing platform to promote the book and get the word out there. These are likely the people who are going to end up buying the book anyway. You want to hit the people who are most likely to buy your book and the people in your network, and you want to be known as the person who wrote that book. In addition to that, there's obviously outside media opportunities, and it's worth pursuing those as well, but I want you to keep in mind that the media landscape has evolved a lot just over the last couple years, and the legacy media coverage that you might have gotten a decade ago or a couple years ago might not be an option anymore. I know people who struggle to get coverage for their book, and they might be trying to look into pay-to-play options at TV stations or something else because the coverage just isn't there like it used to be. Newspapers and other media outlets have been largely eroded at times, so there's not as much coverage to go around. It's harder and harder to get coverage for your book. So I want you to think outside the box in terms of how you get publicity for your book. It doesn't necessarily need to be that legacy step. Maybe you do a podcast tour and, connect with some podcasts that you can use to promote the book. They should be very strategic. They should be in your core audience. You want to think about platforms and places where your audience is. You don't want to just do interviews to do interviews. I've done those interviews. I remember a book I put out a couple years ago when I was doing drive time interviews in Kenosha, Wisconsin, remotely. I don't think I sold any copies off of those interviews. It was good to do them. I enjoyed them immensely, but it was great to get the word out about the book. But at the same time, it wasn't selling any copies. Some of the media outlets and opportunities I did interviews with definitely drove copies. So it's not, looking down on that, but at the same time, pick and choose outlets that are really going to help you get your message to the right people. One of the most crucial things that you can do in order to get book success is to get people to review your book and give it good reviews online. This is social proof that your book is solid. Back in the day, and I'm talking about not that long ago, you wanted to get good reviews from outlets. One of my books got a star review from Publishers Weekly, which was a massive thing. And it definitely got interest and attention for the book. Those types of reviews are hard to come by. I know Kirkus is an example of that. I know people who have paid $500 to get a Kirkus review, and it was a waste of time. It was a waste of effort. It didn't even get published. It was poorly written. Better proof and better results come through actual reviews from actual readers. People reading the book. I couldn't put this book down. I thought it was great, 5 stars. I'm going to buy the book if I'm interested in the topic, if I see a lot of great reviews. If I see a lot of poor reviews, if I see a lot of 3 and 2 star reviews, I'm going to say, probably not worth my time. So it really comes down to the quality of the reviews and the quantity of the reviews, because by driving reviews, Amazon and other platforms get signals sent to them. It's a signal with the algorithm that there's a high quality product here. And these sites and these platforms are more inclined to promote your book when you get that kind of visibility and that kind of review success. So you really want to drive people to review on different sites like Goodreads and Amazon and Barnes & Noble, because that's really going to help to drive further attention and visibility to your book. Endorsements are another thing. It's nice to get endorsements. I kind of think they're overrated, to be honest. Asking people that you may or may not know, who may or may not have read the book, to tell everybody how great the book is. How is that really driving sales? I don't know. I've solicited them. I've written them. I don't know how much my word in, hey, this is a great book, is actually driving sales, especially if it's on the back cover. Are people reading that? I don't know. I actually think the reviews online are bigger and stronger than the reviews on the back of the book. It's not to say don't get them. I think it could be really powerful if you have the right people endorsing your book. It's just a matter of recognizing what they could do for you, how those reviews, how those endorsements can help you, and getting people talking about your book. That's the best way to get that buzz going, is the word of mouth. Hey, this book is great. You should check it out. This book's going to change your life. That's great and powerful stuff. So the more that you can get people talking about your book, the more it's going to drive attention and visibility. I want to leave you with this final point. Obviously, there's things that you can do. Your book success is going to come down to you. It's going to come down to how much effort, intensity, and drive you put into this. I'm not saying that you just want to pour effort and money into it without having the right goals in mind and without having the right system set up to build and launch that success. But at the same time, you're the biggest promoter of this book. You're the person who's going to carry this forward and be that element, be that central driving force, driving this forward. So it really comes down to you. Give it your best effort. Just as you gave your best effort to the writing or to the production, give your best effort to the afterward too. Give the best effort to the promotion side and put your best foot forward in getting this book to the right readers. If you're interested in learning more about how to get your self-published book noticed, I'd love to talk. I'd love to have a conversation with you. Head to my website. It's goodghostwriter.com, and you can click the link below and schedule a one-on-one call with me. I would love to learn more about your pain points, the struggles, the opportunities, the successes you faced, and what it means to publish your book. And maybe I can give you some guidance and help you on your way. Remember, A good book can change your life. I'm Dan Good. Thanks for watching.